As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture those stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. Jeremy Fouts is a personal development expert and founder of a nutrition company called CorVive, who is passionate about making an impact in the lives of others. He has worked with a multitude of professionals worldwide, hailing from prestigious organizations, professional and collegiate athletes. He played a pivotal role in enhancing their performance and fostering excellence both on and off the field. Hey there, Jeremy. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate you being here.
Andrew, it's an honor to be on your podcast. I've been following your podcast for ever since you launched it, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, man. So let's get right into the details. What is your ninja skill? What are you really good at?
Man, I tell you the truth, Andrew, I'm probably known for just somebody that don't quit, somebody that always just grinds and does what it takes. I grew up on a family farm, and that was instilled in me at a young age is hard work. I mean, I graduated top of my class in high school, got a degree in college as well. But for me, it's always just been work harder than the guy standing beside you. That's probably something that I would think would be my ninja.
Yeah. And I think that's something as entrepreneurs we have to learn because it's just such an integral part of it. It's not, I saw a meme about it today that says it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It's just, how much you work and how much you do and how much, you show up every day. Some days it's 10%, some days it's 100%, but you show up.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of people that are a lot more intelligent than me. And almost they strive to have that knowledge, and they continue to take that knowledge and learn more, but they don't put no action to it. And, something I always tell my clients I work with is, you can have the knowledge, but you're not going to accomplish anything great unless you put it into action.
Absolutely. And I think that's a specific role that us as entrepreneurs do is we are the ones that go take action. We're the ones that take the risks. We're the ones that are out there, 12, 14 hours a day doing what we love doing, building something great so that we can then also create a space for people that are very intelligent who want to come in and start to add to that. And so we're kind of the builders. And I appreciate that a lot just in
Yeah.
my own life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's the fun part about being an entrepreneur, right? Is
Uh-huh.
you having the vision, you know what you want to accomplish, but being smart enough to know that there's more talented people in different sectors than you. So
Mhm.
it's always about having that vision, but surrounding yourself with those right people. I've got an unbelievable team around me at my company here at CoreVive, and also in my leadership podcast that I do, and that's something that you've got to do well as an entrepreneur in order to be highly successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you said you grew up on a family farm. How did you get to where you're at today? What is that story? Because that's the whole premise for the podcast is there's a reason why we are so intense about what we do. How did you get there? And what
Yeah.
what caused that intensity to start?
Yeah, well, I had great parents. We grew up in a little bitty town of 2,000 people. I thought athletics was going to be the way for me to be able to succeed financially. Finances is something that was always, a driver for me. I watched my dad always worry about finances. Hardworking man, 14 hours a day, taught us how to be able to do that as well. But I always watched him worry about finances. And I'll never forget, Andrew, at 12, 13, different things happen in our life where I watched my dad, worry about debt and different things. And I just said, one day I'm going to have a way to provide for my family and not have to worry about that. So, I was really good at athletics, thought that was going to be the avenue, and had some injuries and different things. And fell in love with my high school sweetheart. I hated school, even though I did good at school. But he told me, he said, the only way you're marrying my daughter is if you go to college and get a degree. So I went to college. Athletics and agriculture is really the only two things that I loved. And graduated with a degree from Oklahoma State University in soil sciences, and went and started my own farm. And I loved it. I still to this day love agriculture, but I was introduced to nutrition and leadership in my 20s, and succeeded high at that company. Ended up taking a retirement from that company, and actually started a construction company at that time, and was doing real good at construction as well. But when the economy crashed in 2008, I found myself back into nutrition sales and building a team of leaders. And that's something that I recognized in my 30s, that was what I was made to do, is put together a team of people, impact other people's lives. And that's something I fell in love with. And actually made a lot of millions of dollars in that company. That's what set us up financially for life. When I started that business, my wife and I had 2-year-old son, another son on the way. And I said, give us about 5, 6 years here. We'll never have to worry about money again. I was the number one producer and earned some ownership in that company. And actually then after that process, retired from that company and thought, Andrew, I was done. I had no debt, had millions in the bank, and taught my boys how to be ranchers in Colorado. We actually had a lot of red Angus cattle and did that for a lot of years. And I mean, as a man, even though you have the money in the bank, even though you're living what you thought was going to be that dream, I then had a desire, to make more of an impact with people. And that's when I launched the company CorVive back in 2018. And we actually, together as a family, moved back a couple years later here to Dallas, Texas, to, make that focus of building CorVive, a big brand in nutrition, and, helping other people understand what it takes in order for you to be the best. It's all about taking care of you first, being able to, get your fitness under control, get your nutrition under control, and that's something that to this day, that and leadership is something that I just value more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing that you just said that resonates with me specifically, and is that as guys, as men, we really, really need a purpose. If
Oh
we
yeah.
don't have one, we totally fall apart.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's that really, and so when you got to the point where it's like money isn't really, I don't need any more money at this point. I'm going to go on and do my next thing. Now you have another purpose, and it's something different. And I
Yeah.
think it's different for each guy. That the purpose is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is fulfillment, right? I mean, you can have the money in the bank, but if you not have something pushing you every day to be the best you can be, and I found myself on that ranch, and it was like heaven, man. I mean, looking out the living room, 5 mountain ranges, Trout River running through the property, elk, deer, everything you can imagine. But I wasn't pushing myself anymore to be the best, and I wasn't pushing myself to lead others, to impact others. And I can tell you it looked good where I was at. The scenic, the money in the bank, the being able to do what I wanted to do, wake up, and enjoy the outdoor activities. But you're not fulfilled as a man, in my opinion, unless you have something that your efforts can make an impact on someone else.
Yeah. And I think that's evidenced by looking at the or the life expectancy after retirement is
Uh-huh.
not that much.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things is now you have this purpose, and especially in older generations where you had this purpose where you worked at the same company, that was your purpose. You meant to do that. You worked at retirement. Once you lost that, then
Right.
it's you've lost a major part of yourself, and it really has a negative effect on you, right?
100%, 100%. I see it all the time. I mean, people that, they thought they'd get to retirement and now they're thinking, what next? And,
Mhm.
you can only play golf so many times. I mean, you can only hunt and fish so many times,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of lost. And then it puts burden on their marriage because the wife then watches, a husband that pushed themselves and became successful in a career or a path that he chose. And then now he's just around all the time, sitting on the couch watching Netflix. I mean, that's, I mean, and you know as well as I do, there's so many entrepreneurs that really didn't hit their real peak till 45, 50, 60 years old. And, any man that I talk to, I'm just like, hey, man, you're still alive. This is not over. I mean, get a new fire in you, find a new purpose, and go get some drive back to go accomplish. There might be halftime in your life, but there's still a whole nother half to play. And
Mhm.
and with the knowledge and the wisdom that you have in that first part of the life, you can take that wisdom now and that knowledge and go do 10 things or 10 times things what you did in the first half.
Hmm. I want to start a retirement community just
Uh-huh.
for entrepreneurs, and just have like a whole bunch of like entrepreneurs who have been like in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and see what happens, because I think that would be the most interesting thing. It's not about shuffleboard and golf. It's more like, what can we do now?
Yes, yes. And I tell you, just sign me up when I'm ready to retire, Andrew. I'll be there because, the way the mind is made, it's always got to be made to push to find something else, push to, enjoy, that challenge, that opportunity that you can push yourself. And sign me up for that retirement community. Don't not anytime soon, but I guarantee you I'll be there, and you're going to find some brilliant minds. That's one of my favorite things to do is talk to older men. I mean, you find me a man that's 65, 75, 85-year old that has a clear mind. I can sit there and talk to them all day long because, man, they have already went down the path that I'm going to go down.
I have a good mentor of mine, a good friend of mine, who says there's a difference between counsel and opinion. Opinions are all over the place. People will give us their opinions. There might be some fact to it, but I want counsel. Somebody who's already been there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I did it. Even if it's, look, I totally screwed that one up, and here's what happened, and here's how not to do that again. Or, everyone's an
Yep.
example. Some are examples what to do, some are examples what not to do, but they're all good examples.
Yep.
And so I think that's really important as well, as learning from people that are more experienced than us. I don't want
Oh
to say
yeah.
smart, more experienced than us.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was counseling a 20-year-old the other day that has a lot of drive, has a lot of passion,
Oh,
to achieve greatness in his life. And he's like, "Well, I don't understand this, and I don't understand this." I'm like, I called him my name. I'll just say Bob, but that's not his name. I was like, Bob, you're not supposed to understand this at 20. I mean that's why you go through these phases in life.
yeah.
He's about to start his own little business, and I'm talking to him and counseling him and trying to help him in that process. And I love doing that, and I love that he's willing to put that risk out there. But there's certain parts of your life you're going to go through phases, and you're not going to know everything when you're young.
Exactly. Exactly. I've got a couple of people I'm mentoring the same thing too. One's 16 and just started a landscaping company. And
Mhm.
I love that age, those ages, because it's like I can be the mentor that I wished I had at those ages. So that's part of
Right.
it. There's a cycle that's being completed here. But the other side of it too is that just looking at them going, what you will become by the time you are 40 is by far more than most people are. You will be in
Absolutely.
1% of the 1%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him the other day at 20-year-old. I'm like, where you are now, you're learning things. I mean, most 20-year-olds are just out at the bar hanging out, whatever. They have no desire to start their own business. And I'm like, give yourself some grace and some patience, because you're going to be at 30, you're not going to be here where these other ones are going to be. You're going to be here. And
Yeah.
by the time you're 35, you're going to be here. And by the time you're 40, yes, you'll
Yeah.
be so much more ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. And at 20, you have the ability to completely screw absolutely everything up and still rebound like 7 or 8 more times. Right?
Absolutely.
Much
Absolutely. And
harder
yeah,
to do in your 40s.
absolutely. And that's what I was telling him. He's like, what if this don't work? I'm like, then we'll have experience. I mean,
Yep.
that's one thing about entrepreneurship that, people they think if you don't launch something and have major success in a quick time, then you failed. No. If it's something you love to do, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be, doing things that you don't want to do. I mean, that's part of it. But you know what? If it does fail, then we'll look at what we learned, and let's take what we learned and let's go again. I mean, that's part of life.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a major part of being an entrepreneur is it's continually being kicked in the gut and going, I'm not done yet. And let's keep going.
Absolutely.
And let's pivot maybe. Let's see what has to happen. Let's go in a direction. We need to change something, that's fine. But it's that constant, let's just push forward, make it work. And I think for me, that's one of the most, that's freedom, is
Right.
knowing that no matter what happens in my life, I don't care if it's minor to massive, I will figure it out. I will
Oh
figure
yeah.
out a way forward and I will make it work,
Yep. Yep.
whatever it
But
is.
yeah, I teach my boys. I got two boys that are national athletes, 17 and 14. He's about to be 15, my 14-year-old. And I'm like, tenacity, man. You've got to learn tenacity and being mentally strong at a young age. And that's all it is. I mean, it's just continuing to push when you don't want to push. That I coach a lot of men in physical fitness, and that's what I mean. You think you're done, you're not done. You can go 2 more reps, you can go 3 more reps, but it's that developing that mental mindset as young as you can that I've just got to be stronger than the next person.
Yeah. That was one thing that David Goggins, I really resonated with him. First of all, I grew up in the same area as him. And he talked about Paradise Road. It's literally 2 miles down the street from me. We would have gone to the same schools. So I have a personal connection to
Good
him,
story.
you know, but I literally drive by Paradise Road every day. But the other side of it too is that there is so much more inside of you than you think there is.
Oh
That
yeah,
we're conditioned to be, we're conditioned for comfort. That's just kind of where we're at, and it's deep in our programming, and getting over that is difficult, but understanding that on the other side of that suck is something amazing. So
absolutely.
just push through it. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a dad the other day. He just said, "Man, I don't feel motivated. I can't get motivated." I said, "You're not going to get motivated. Motivation is a feeling. It's going to come and go.
Yeah.
You got to push when you don't want to push, and then next thing you know, that you're going to become that person that you're going to do it regardless of how
Mhm.
you feel. I think we a lot of times as entrepreneurs, or if we're trying to accomplish something physical, we just rely on how we feel at this moment. You're not going to feel like always wanting to be motivated. You got to push through regardless of how you feel.
And like we were talking about earlier, it's about showing up. Some
Yeah,
days I'll show up at 100%. Some days it's
yeah,
10%. Some days it's 40, but I
right,
still show up. And for
right,
me, it's like, what is that? When I'm in those moments when it's just like it's not coming and it's really difficult, and I'm just having trouble getting motivated. It's what's that one step to take the
yeah,
needle forward? Just that
yeah,
one step.
yeah, yeah,
And the next time it's what's that one step? I don't
yeah,
care if it's I actually opened my mail. There's some other thing that actually
yeah,
made it happen. I got to be in box zero today. Great. What's my next step? Just
right,
one in front of the other.
right. Yeah, showing
Yeah.
up consistently. Yeah,
Yeah.
consistency. I mean, discipline is big, but you've got to be disciplined on a daily basis.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like a muscle in your brain, that literally, if you keep showing up every day and having that discipline, that portion of the brain gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you become, almost unstoppable.
Absolutely. Very, very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
So now the supplements game. I know you said that you were a bit of a, or you train people in physical fitness and that sort of a thing. Why supplements?
Supplements is what I learned in my 20s. I started with a nutrition sales company, and growing up on a farm and ranch, it was I always had a desire for learning what the importance of nutrition is. And growing up in the South, my mom, she made fried food all the time, sweets all the time, and I'll never forget going to Walmart one time when I was 12-year old, and I was looking through the vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin this, and vitamin that. And, my dad would almost laugh at me at 12-year old taking vitamin C, but he wanted to make sure the cows had their minerals and had their, and so I just, being an athlete as well, I just really become conscious of what went in my body, and fell in love with that, with leadership, and that's something that I've always just been attracted to. So many people will spend money on the iPhones and the clothes and all those different things, and they don't understand the importance of not only just supplements. Yes, I own a supplement company, but more importantly, it's understanding, the day to day, what we put in our body. It matters. And the supplement industry is something that I think is a good launching pad. You can't just take supplements alone. You got to take supplements as a launching pad. And that's something that we try to do here, is provide also a good community of people that people can jump in and do some 45-day programs, 90-day programs. And then next thing you know, it's transforming their mind, transforming their body. And they're like, man, there's something to what I put in my mouth on a daily basis. And it's just something I was attracted to at a young age, and still at 48 have a desire to do. We focus a lot on athletes. My company, sells hydration to a lot of the Major League Baseball teams and some pro baseball or pro football teams as well. And we do a lot with colleges and student athletes in high school, and just teaching them and grabbing them at a young age is probably my favorite part, and telling them, what, you can work out, but if you're not recovering, you're not sleeping correctly, it's all of it. If you're not getting the right amount of protein, if you're not staying hydrated, But it matters how you treat your body and your mind. You know what you put in it. You know as well as I do that documentary with the guy eating McDonald's for like
Oh, yeah.
50 days straight. It's not an example. It's not surprising what he's going to come out like. You know, so the supplement industry is something I just fell in love with at a young age, Andrew, and I'm very passionate about it to this day. You know, our company provides only USA ingredients, no artificial sweeteners or anything. And, you know, there's a lot of supplements out there, but there's not very many that are quality that goes through the testing that we spend the money on of trying to be the best and provide the latest science.
Mhm. And I think that's one thing that I've had trouble with is like trying to find hydration drinks and electrolyte drinks are a huge thing right now. Trying to find one without sucralose in it is actually
Mhm.
really difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which and there's a lot of studies saying that a lot of these artificial things are really bad for your
Oh,
system. Like
oh.
and so just all kinds of things out there. And you'd think
Mhm.
out of something that's supposed to be health food, you'd think that would they would use more different things like
It,
stevia, like
it,
sugar, like
it,
other.
it all goes back to money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I could provide my margins. If I put sucralose in my product, my profit margins would be almost double. And it tastes better with sucralose, but it's not good for you, you know. So that's why we use pure sugar cane in our hydration supplement. You know, processed sugar is bad for you, but pure sugar cane is not, and it's necessary for the electrolytes to be uptake. You know, and these companies that talk about no sugar and then they put artificial sweeteners in it. You know, it's not good for you. But it all goes back to money. You know, I tell everyone my company, we wasn't pushing to be the cheapest products. We was striving to be the best. And that's something that's why we spend the money on USA ingredients and no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colors, no dyes. You know, I see athletes that go to these games, these young 12, 13-year-old athletes go up to concession stand and buy the Gatorades with the red dyes and all these different things in it. And they're buying it because the pro athletes are advertising it on TV. But Andrew, the pro athletes are not drinking Gatorade.
Yeah.
The pro athletes are drinking a product like my company provides. They want the best. They're not going to put those red dyes and those things in their body. You know, so I've loved the nutrition industry since my mid 20s, and until I die I will continue trying to stay up on the latest science and provide people with the best quality products.
So talking about quality, that's another thing. It seems like there's a lot of supplement companies out there. And I think one of the questions that I don't hear a lot about is bioavailability.
Yeah,
So if I put this in my body, is my body actually going to use it? I mean, I can
yeah,
take, as much vitamin C as I wanted. If my body's, if it's just, in one end and out the other, it's not going to do any good.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, all of our products that we have are all water soluble. So what you don't need, you're just going to urinate out. You
Yeah.
know, so like over 50% of the population are deficient in B12, so we try to put a lot of B12 in our products. But if you don't need it, you're just going to urinate it out. It's not going to be harmful to you. And that's something that's very important for us. Number one is safety. That's we have a code of ethics that we go by in the R&D lab that we go by. Number one is safety. That's why we don't have no artificial sweeteners, controversial ingredients, or anything. Making sure it's safe. Number two is quality. Number three is taste. That's another thing that's big in the supplement industry is, yeah, I've drink protein shakes since I was 22, and I mean, they was pretty nasty, most of them,
Yeah.
and that's something that my R&D team got really mad at me in 2018 when I was trying to formulate these protein shakes, making sure our chocolate and vanilla tasted awesome, is because I'm like, it's got to taste good. I mean, if not, you're going to do it for about 2 months, and no matter how good it is for you, you're going to be like, I can't do this no more. But yes, making sure that there's nothing in your body that's going to be stored up, be harmful to your body, and it's all about safety first.
Mhm. So now if somebody wants to get started with like supplements, there's so much out there. Where do you usually recommend that people start? Like
Yeah,
if you're just like, I know I need something, I'm not sure
yeah,
what it is, where's a
yeah.
good starting point?
I mean, the first thing I tell everybody is to make sure it has all the certifications. We use a facility that's GMP on our hydrate product. We do NSF certified for sport, which is very hard to get that certification. But those top certifications give you a safety. The FDA does not regulate all natural supplements. They never will. And I really wish they would, because then companies like us that do everything would really shine, and that's something like our manufacturer is FDA specifications and regulations manufacturing facility. So, we can get audited at any time. They can come in and check, making sure everything's done. We don't have to make that available. We don't have to, but we choose to do these certifications. We do certificate of analysis on every one of our ingredients. We provide those to the customers if they ask to see our C of A's. But finding a company, I would not purchase a product unless I knew what their certifications are. Do they do certificate of analysis, making sure there's no heavy metals or anything in any of their ingredients? What's their background as far as, how long have you been in business? All those different things is important for people to educate themselves before a purchase.
And I think that's really important, that not a lot of people I've seen have gotten the FDA CGMP certifications.
No.
And for folks that don't know what that certification is, it's called current good manufacturing processes, and it's what all drug companies use when they
Yes.
manufacture pharmaceuticals. And it's very strict. I've had to teach CGMP, and so that's why I know that it's very
Yes.
strict about what you do and do not, and everything is tracked, and I know where everything's come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
Yeah.
like our NSF certification that we supply, the Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer and hockey as well, they provide that. If they're going to provide those athletes, they have to have the NSF certification for sport. And that's just something that I'd recommend, anyone in order to purchase, a hydration supplement or anything, look at the certifications.
Yeah. And I think it shows that the company has really taken their product seriously, and they've gone
Right.
the extra few levels to make sure that not only is it a safe product, it's a trackable product, it's a repeatable process. So meaning what you get is what you're going to get out of every single bottle, but it's also, just, I think even
Yeah.
going to that level of trouble to get an expense to get all these things is a huge
Well,
thing.
and that's why a lot of companies don't, right? You just said it's an expense.
Mhm.
But what I like about it is, to me, it's proven to the consumer that we have that much faith in our product. We're not saying trust me. We're
Mhm.
saying we have paid this independent company that's all they do is look at every ingredient to make sure that safety is there.
Mhm.
And that's something that is big for me, transparency in this company, and making sure that every person that consumes our product, they know and believe that it's 100% safe, not because I told them, but because of all the certifications that we go through.
In the words of Reagan, trust but verify.
Exactly.
We trust you're doing the right thing, but we want to verify it with a third party.
Exactly. That's smart. Smart business and a consumer. Pretty also.
True story.
Yes.
So again, Jeremy, thank you so much for being on today. I've got one more question that I ask to every podcast guest that I have, and that is, what is one book or podcast that has significantly impacted your life?
Well, definitely your podcast is up there, Andrew. I
Thanks,
will
man.
say that. But
I appreciate it.
I would say probably in my mid-20s, when I really first started reading, I was not in a good time of my life. And I had that victim mindset where I wanted to blame other people for where I was at in life. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I think pretty much every person has. And I picked up this book by Andy Andrews called The Traveler's Gift. And I don't want to run it for anybody that's listening to your podcast. They need to read that book. But, at the beginning of the book, this man just got through losing his job. His wife just divorced him. His daughter is in the hospital with cancer. And basically, this angel come to him and helped him understand that, you know what, you chose to get married to this woman. You chose this college degree. You chose this job. You chose to have a daughter. And that's where we are in society. People want to have that victim mindset of, I'm here because my boss didn't give me a raise. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. And that book is a must read, in my opinion, for any entrepreneur, any person that really wants to understand life. It's all about our choices. The choices that we choose on a daily basis is going to be the reflection of the way our life looks like in the future.
Absolutely. And I think that victim mentality, there's a level of freedom from not having it, from taking
Right.
control, going, I don't care if it's not actually my fault. It's my fault. Let me do something about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because of that book, I literally changed my whole train of thought. I was even thinking I was an entrepreneur then. And I was thinking, man, do I just go get a job? Do I just go and that one book changed and said, no, I'm not giving up on my dream. My dream is to have freedom of money, for I can have freedom of time, for I can have freedom in my relationships, for I can have freedom in my purpose. And that one book changed my whole thought process because I had a college degree. I could have just went and got a job, making 75,000 a year, maybe grew up to 100,000, whatever the situation. But that one book changed my whole mindset and say, no, if I want freedom of money, freedom of time, freedom of relationships, and freedom to do what I want to do with my purpose, then I'm going to push through this no matter how hard it gets.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Jeremy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you being here.
Andrew, it's a pleasure, and I'll be on your podcast anytime, and I'm going to have you on my podcast here soon too.
That sounds awesome, man. I really look forward to that. Thanks,
awesome.
Man.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Jeremy, check out the link in the description.